So here we are on Friday morning with a very slight 7-8 knot wind from the southeast, and so we've gone around the other side of the anchor. And yesterday the wind did come up again, and we ended up down in the south of the on that trace of my track. So we're just moving around our anchor. Obviously in the middle of this circle is where the anchor is lying, and obviously very well bedded in. So it'll be interesting when I come to raise it whether I have any problem getting it up. Hopefully not. I think this is really just mostly just sand just around here. So keep my fingers crossed on that one. And now we'll just get on with our jobs of the day. I've got to finish getting the hydro vane cover on and cleaning those fenders. So here's where we actually are anchored, in the bay to the east of the Punta de Mita, the point itself, behind which most boats normally anchor. My days usually start with a mug of coffee, usually with turmeric and a little tiny bit of black pepper. It's supposed to be very, very good for anti-inflammatory, and amazingly virtually doesn't change the taste of the coffee at all. So really very pleasant way to start the day. It's nice to have friends on Jeanne come by to say hello as they're on their way to La Paz. Nice to chat to someone face to face for a moment. So here we are bobbing about in the sunshine with almost no wind in Punta de Mita in the bay here. It's just so peaceful, so calm, absolutely amazing. And I'm finding it a little bit difficult to get motivated to do anything after all the rushing around from a distance trying to get the pump organised and talking to people, so many different people at different times throughout the day, and just hoping that the pump that was coming in was actually the correct one with the gear on the end of it already in place to make it easy for me to make the changeover. As you can see, the wind generator is not turning at all, so the wind is well below 7 knots. In fact, I'd say it's probably more like 2 or 3. So I am sitting here with my coffee, having my very nice turmeric coffee as usual in the morning, and looking at these fenders which are about to be finished off. I do have some other jobs to do, including I want to replace a lot of bungees. I'm looking around the deck and seeing what I can do there while I've got this few days of calm before I take off again. I've got another block here that I'm going to put in place and then mouse it. Mousing it with wire is fine. So those are 1 or 2 of the jobs for today. Well, I reckon those fenders are looking a lot cleaner than they were. Definitely ready for stowing away off the deck, below decks. Well, that was great. I've just had someone else come by, the mob. That's the name of the boat, believe it or not. The mob came by with the kids in tow behind the dinghy, going pretty fast. And yeah, so my spinnaker, my asymmetric spinnaker, got pushed back up in place onto the side deck. So that's another job that I was having trouble with. Here it is in its rather slightly tattered bag on the side deck. Something else to work on now. The kids are obviously having fun here. Enjoying themselves. So the wind generator was busy whizzing around in the afternoon thermal breeze, and the sunshine was piling onto the solar panels. It's really nice to be able to see exactly what the panels are giving out. I've got 2 regulators for the 2 sets of panels, so clearly a total of 20 amps coming in, which is a nice boost to the battery power. Well, here we are again with the afternoon wind having got up quite strongly. It's around 15 knots from the north, and as you can see, we've swung right round again to the other side of the anchorage, or a little bit of the anchorage that we're using. So doubtless come evening the wind will die down, so we get this cycle of events, the thermal wind getting up quite strongly. By midday it's usually starting to get up, and then by now, which is coming up towards 5 o'clock, it starts slowly to ease. So that's what I'm going to make use of on Sunday when I sail up to La Cruz anchorage to get my seawater pump, get that, and then of course I'll have the job of replacing it. Well, here we are. I'm trying to pluck up my courage to go ahead and do one further check on the water flow, the cooling water flow inside the engine. On the left here we have the heat exchanger, which is relatively new actually, so that shouldn't be clogged up, and then from it we've got the anti-siphon valve starting here. Where are we? Starting from there, coming out of the heat exchanger, then going up and back down again into the exhaust elbow here, which leads on down to the exhaust. And there's my sensor, which should be telling me when the exhaust is getting too hot, which is a very, very useful thing to have. A halyard exhaust alert, it's called. Anyway, so what I'm proposing to do now is to take the hose off the end of the heat exchanger. I do have the impeller in the seawater pump, so I'm told that there shouldn't be any leakage out, even though I've got the valve, the seacock, open. Then there shouldn't be any water coming through. I can take this hose off the end, start the engine, and check that water is gushing out, and then hurriedly stop the engine. So that's the general. That's what I'm supposed to be trying to do now, and I have to say I've been putting it off for a day or two because I'm feeling very, very trepidatious about doing this. I'm assured it should work okay, but obviously I've got to be able to get that hose back again reasonably quickly and then stop the engine before too much water comes in. So that's what I'm proposing to get done now, getting my mechanic's hat on with a rather, not too sure that I want it on at the moment, but it'll be another big learning curve, this one. I've never done this before, so I just hope it all goes okay. I just noticed that the coolant reservoir is only half full, so I'm going to top that up before I start doing anything else. And then I thought I'd start the engine. I can actually start the engine from the start motor here. There's a little switch that I've had put on across the terminals so that I can start the engine if I need to. So I could start the engine here, pull off the hose, and then hurriedly put it back again, and then I'll have to run up on deck to stop the engine. Otherwise I have to get down to the emergency solenoid stop switch. So that's the plan at the moment. Of course, the first thing to do is to release this banjo clip, this hose clamp, and make sure that I can, that there's no problem with that. I must say I do love these scan strut supports, the clamps that I'm trying to use for my videoing. They're so easy to get in apart and get in place. The top of the little generator casing and the bottom of the support, the mount, and now I'm going to just put in place the rest of it, which is so easy. Click, and there it is. That's it, finished. Now I just have to adjust it. So easy. So here we are looking at the exhaust elbow, the exhaust down here, the exhaust elbow, anti-siphon, and the heat exchanger back here. And so the plan is to undo the pipe clamp on the end of the anti-siphon pipe, which is coming from the heat exchanger, and see how much the water gushes out. I am not looking forward to this, but I just feel so nervous. Well, I have to say that one thing that concerns me is that directly below the exhaust elbow and the beginning of the exhaust is the wire harness. So I'm going to put a lot of cloths over the top of that, and hope that any water that comes out will not wet the wires or that area too much. So there we are with quite a few cloths. There's the filter, the seawater filter down here. But anyway, I put cloths. I've decided to go for this end of the anti-siphon pipe, the anti-siphon loop, rather than the other, because I think I've got better access to there. And I'm still not convinced that I'm going to be able to get this on and off. Off and then on again quickly, very easily. So I just loosened the other one and tightened it up again. So I'm going to look at this end of the hose instead. Well, I've removed the banjo clip, the hose clamp, but my concern is that there's quite a ridge out here, and if I can get this off, and this is the original pipe dating from early '09, if I do get it off, will I get it back on again? It's not moving too easily, and I'm worried that I might not have the strength to push it back in place. We'll just see how this goes, if I can get it off. Which is really not happening too well. Quite a ridge around the top here. It's really not moving. Oh, maybe it is. A little bit of effort. There we go. It is actually coming off. And nothing. So, okay. Well, that looks as though I could probably get that back. Just try that a few times. Yeah, that's definitely working. Okay, so I thought I was going to have to abandon this, but looks as though we're going to be okay to start up. I've got the sea cock actually open at the moment, and as I was assured, nothing's coming through because the impeller's in the seawater pump, so it's closing off the pipe work down that way until I start the engine. So that's the next thing to do. I'm just adding a few more clods over the wires leading from the start motor. No harm, because that's actually in the direction of the water that's going to spurt out. So just put those in place there, hope to protect any wiring. And so this is it. Big moment. I am feeling so nervous about this. This does not feel safe to have water gushing into the boat. Let me just double check. I'm going to do that. Okay. And then I'm going to bring that down. So just double check what I'm going to do, because the engine will be going, or stay going. And it is idling. So, okay. I'm just going to go and check that we are in idle up on top. Well, I'm really pleased that that I went to check that, because in fact we were not idle in neutral, we were in gear. And the whole idea is to do this while the engine is just idling out in neutral. So that was a good thing to have done. Okay, here we go. We're starting up. I'll go and stop the engine now. Well, I definitely think we saw the water gushing out there. I need to now put this hose clamp in place again, tighten up on it, and I think we should be okay with a new seawater pump. That should mean that the engine will continue on. Okay, and I think we'll start the engine again now and just let it run for a bit and see what happens. Give it a few minutes to run, see how long before we start hearing any hint of any overheating, which is what I'm expecting to have happen. And I'll take all these bits of cloth away. Well, I haven't got that far. The idea now is to start up the engine and keep an eye on the temperature of the exhaust elbow here and the cover plate on the pump, the seawater pump here. So I'm going to start up the engine in neutral again and just go between the two, see what's happening with the temperature at the pump here and also at the exhaust elbow. Feeling pretty cool. Pump cover feeling very cool as well. Just to confirm what I was feeling with my fingers touching the areas, I got out my heat sensor and it was showing that the seawater pump cover and the exhaust elbow were relatively cool, and the heat exchanger, not surprisingly, was rather warmer, but still not over warm. So I ran it for 20 minutes and then I stopped the engine, quite happy with what I'd found. What must be happening is that the seawater pump, which was quite badly damaged, would be damaging the impeller, so that the impeller, even quite a new one, would stop working as well as it should have been working, and that would happen quite quickly and lead to overheating. I then went up a little bit later to enjoy a very pleasant sunset, feeling pretty happy with what I'd done over the day, and things seem to be going quite well now. If you're enjoying watching the videos that I'm posting quite often, then please hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified of fresh videos as they get posted.